This 4,700-mile 1997 80 Series Land Cruiser gives new meaning to the term vintage four-wheel drive. I did do a double and triple take when I saw this 97 Land Cruiser. Obviously, it's a no-brainer. We've got to review it. Before we launch into today's example, if you're new to the channel, I'm Trey and this is Vintage Four-Wheel Drive Auctions. We vet all the active truck and 4x4 category auctions on Bring a Trailer and highlight only the top tier of vehicles from this segment. So if you're in the market for a vintage SUV, you'll want to keep an eye on these auctions. With each video, our objective is to discuss and show you what to look for in a vintage SUV and what to avoid. Our hope is that this simple video format encourages interaction on vehicle condition and ending price points. Starting today, we have a 1997 Toyota FZJ80 Land Cruiser. As I already mentioned, this one has a mind-blowing low 4,700 miles since new. It has a 4.5 liter inline six with a 4-speed automatic transmission, and it's finished in white over tan leather upholstery. This one's located in the greater Bay Area of California and is listed by a well-known monthly seller with over 103 listings under their belt. We've got 2 days left on this auction. There are 17 bids to 110,000 and there are currently 79 comments on the auction. With the unicorn status of this 97 FZJ80, I think the only thing standing in the way of breaking records is the single center differential. But I'll get into more with the pros and cons and also the pricing. Before we jump into the pros and cons of this 97 Land Cruiser, let's review the history of the Land Cruiser in the United States. The heritage of the Land Cruiser goes back to the Korean War. When North Korea invaded the South in 1950, the U.S. supported the pro-Western South Korea. In 1950, the U.S. still occupied Japan following World War II, and the idea was that the U.S. could use locally sourced military trucks in conflicts around the region. The first prototype Toyota Jeep was developed in 1951, and it was called the Toyota BJ. This original design had a significant resemblance to the Jeep Willys, which unfortunately for Toyota put them in the crosshairs of Jeep's legal team. Toyota later renamed the model the Land Cruiser and began selling it with that name in 1954. The Land Cruiser first hit the American shores in 1958. In 1960, Toyota introduced the now iconic FJ40. F was for the engine type, which was the original 1F model, and J was for Jeep. By 1965, the Land Cruiser was the best-selling Toyota in the US. In 1967, Toyota introduced the 55 series, affectionately known as the Iron Pick. I love this rare model, by the way. I look forward to making a video on this one in the future. In 1975, both the 55 series and the FJ40 traded the old 1F engine for the improved 2F 4.3 liter inline six, which was a significant improvement mechanically. They also went to a 4-speed manual transmission from the earlier 3-speed manual. That carried through the 60 series, which was introduced in 1980. Toyota gave the 60 a facelift in 1988 with the introduction of the FJ62, which saw the grille move from round headlights to square lamps. The FJ62 also received a new 3F engine and was only offered with an automatic transmission. Basically, everything looked the same on the 62 as the 60 except for the front end. The 80 series was introduced in 1990 as a 1991 model year. And this was a big change from the 60 and 62 series. The 80 series was longer and wider than the 60 series. It was also the first time the Land Cruiser introduced a full-time four-wheel drive and a locking center differential. The 93 Land Cruiser got a boosted 1FZ FE 4.5 liter inline six that made 212 horsepower and had 275 pounds of torque. Also, for the first time, front and center locking differentials became an option for the Land Cruiser. The crown jewel is the so-called triple locked Land Cruiser with front, center, and rear differentials. We'll discuss more of this in the pricing section of the video. Let's look at the pros and cons of this 1997 Toyota FZJ80 Land Cruiser. First with the pros, can I get a mic drop here? It's only got 4,700 miles. It also has a clean CARFAX history, supposedly one owner since new. We'll make sure to review in further detail in the CARFAX evaluation section of our video. Not only that, it's also apparently been in California since new, which depending on where in California, usually indicates it's going to be a rust-free vehicle. Now, a review of the cons. Really, for me, there are only two cons for this Land Cruiser, and they are seriously minor. One, this 97 did not come with the optional front and rear locking differentials. Now, it probably doesn't matter one bit because literally it would be criminal for the buyer of this 4,700 mile museum piece to off-road this thing. And two, I'm not the biggest fan of the aftermarket badges on the car, but we'll look at more of that in the comments and the pictures. Again, these are seriously minor drawbacks. The other thing I would have loved to see with this auction is more on the story on how this car ended up with only 4,700 miles. Was this literally put in a garage somewhere and never driven? Is there some other reason for the exceptionally low mileage? You'll see other potential buyers express the same sentiment in the comments. Moving on to the CARFAX. The CARFAX for this Land Cruiser, I don't know any other way to put it, is literally insane. I've never seen such a detailed CARFAX with so many entries and so few miles. I love it. Again, this is the kind of thing I would have loved to have heard more about in the story on this bad boy. This thing was owned in San Diego and Temecula its whole life. That solid SoCal ownership history should answer the question of whether it has any rust. We'll look closely at the pictures, but my guess is that you could literally eat a meal off the undercarriage. It's so clean. The last entry on the CARFAX was in 2021 in Reno, Nevada, with mileage listed as 4,629. Insane. Honestly, with this low mileage, this thing should be in the Land Cruiser Heritage Museum in Utah. I'd be afraid to drive it. It needs to be preserved. Before we get into the pictures, we always review the comments section first. As I've said on previous shows, this is a best practice that can save you time when you're looking through pictures because the Bring a Trailer audience has extensive knowledge on these marquee vehicles. They'll often call out areas of concern like rust, paint or mechanical abnormalities, or potential mechanical watchouts. So jumping right into the comments. So with 79 comments, we've got a lot of interest in this 97 Land Cruiser. So just scrolling through here, we've got a commenter ask, how much would this have cost new in 97? Got a response, probably about half of the current offer, which is $110,000. That's about spot on, $55K for this vehicle. I like this one here. It's highlighted in a yellow box because it's the most commented on to date with the auction. Cars are about their stories, especially when selling on public forum like Bring a Trailer, where we geek out over rare, really cool stuff like this. I totally agree. It's part of the experience for all of us, buyers, sellers, and spectators. I went through the comments and several people have asked, but it seems like we haven't gotten the story of why this Land Cruiser only has 4,700 miles on it. I agree. I mentioned that earlier in the video. Got some kind of snarky comments here. Non-OEM badges, I'm out. Somebody said, as stated, the flag bar is from an Oldsmobile, so is the fuel injection badge. As we're going through the pictures, we'll see that there's some kind of aftermarket badges. Not sure why the seller put that on there, but again, that shouldn't detract from this 4,700 mile Land Cruiser. We also had a few comments that the description had the color wrong. It should actually be white over tan leather. As I scroll through the comments, I'm not really seeing anything negative here, but I think that should be expected with a 4,700 mile rig. Let's jump into the pictures. Interesting choice for the first picture, a close-up of the grille of this 80 series Land Cruiser. I don't know about you guys, but I always have been a fan of the gold emblems on the Land Cruiser. I think it just looks very sharp. If it were me, I probably would have started with a picture like picture number 3 that gives a nice overview of the entire vehicle, not just the front. Like picture number 4 really just showcases how clean this FZJ80 is. So as we're going around the car, we get to picture 21. This is the first time you see these badges that the commenters are talking about. On the left, under the 4-wheel drive, you can see a badge that looks like it's from an Oldsmobile. You also have on the right-hand side, to the right of Land Cruiser, a fuel injection badge. Again, I think both of these, as a astute commenter pointed out, are from an Oldsmobile car. It's pretty funny. I've never seen this before. Picture 29 is another good side profile picture. It really captures the shine of the paint. I like that they included this picture 36 of the hood. It's very evident there's no clear coat failure or sign of oxidation, which, given the California and Nevada history, I'm kind of surprised, being that it's been out in the sun. But again, with 4,700 miles, this one likely spent most of its time in the garage. Picture 48 gives a clear shot of the OEM running boards. They look in like new condition. If we look at picture 57, I like when sellers include the close-up shot of the lens. This is a common wear area for most cars that have had any use. And when you see a lens in this condition, it just shows the level of care that has been given to this car. Picture 60 is an interesting one. I don't see this included in a lot of auctions, but when they do, I think it does show just how clean a vehicle is. Literally, there's not even a speck of dirt or dust in this gas door. I don't know if it showed it in the listing, but my suspicion is these Michelin tires are original from the factory. You can also see the cleanliness of this vehicle by the shape of this mud flap. Talked about this before too. Looking at picture 65, examining the trailer hitch, you see no signs of rust or wear. I actually owned a 1997 FZJ80 40th anniversary edition. One of the things I liked best about it as compared to my 60 series was these rear sliding windows. They're really great, especially if you had a dog. You likely saw my dog Teddy, a golden retriever, make a cameo on the last video. He thinks he's a star now. Picture 109 is a really nice close-up of the grille, but it also highlights just how clean the lenses are in the front as well. In picture 125, we see the Michelins again, but we can also really examine the condition of these rims. I don't see a scuff or scratch. 134 gives a great view of not only the carpet, but also the condition of the seat. It looks exceptionally clean. I am seriously geeking out on this thing. It literally looks like a time capsule from 1997. Not even the smallest scratch here on this dash. It looks brand new. In 141, seller does a nice job capturing the interior. These seats literally look like they haven't been sat in. And then this is the money shot right here. 4,660 miles. Not even 4,700 on this 97 Land Cruiser. I saw someone say in the comments for the money, they'd rather have this than a 2021 Heritage Edition. I agree. Picture 194, just love this picture of the dash. Just highlights how clean this vehicle is. Love this picture 222. It literally looks like it's from a brochure from 1997. Headliner in picture 273 shows no sign of wear. Really remarkable. Picture 277, third row seating is intact. Looks like it's never been used. Picture 302, this is a good picture. With a lot of these Land Cruisers, you would open up the tailgate and this area would have rust. Not in this one. Picture 331 starts the engine series of pictures. You can see this engine bay is immaculate. Now getting into the undercarriage pictures in 364, this one is as clean as it comes. This is what you would expect from a vehicle with under 4,700 miles. Love this picture 377. This is exactly how you would expect to find it from the factory in 97. Picture 379, seller really has done a nice job presenting this undercarriage. There's not even a speck of dust on the spare tire rim. As you would expect with a vehicle of this stature. Picture 422, got all factory books and manuals with this 97 Land Cruiser. So taking a look at the pricing for this 97 Toyota FZJ Land Cruiser, this one's pretty straightforward. We have a high water mark for a 97 Land Cruiser with 13,000 miles set in July 2022 of $135,000. This was another white over tan leather truck sold by Land Cruiser aficionado Brian Corsetti. I actually got my 1986 60 series from Corsetti. I'll link his website in the description below for those interested in learning more. So the key difference for the 97 sold for $135,000 was that it not only had uber low mileage, but it was triple locked like we talked about earlier. Again, no one should off-road this 97 Land Cruiser, but from an option standpoint, that is the unicorn model. Now, this one not only has lower mileage, but it also has the most insane CARFAX documentation. We also see current bidding at $110,000 with 2 days left. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, guys, and go on record. I think this one has the momentum to be the highest FZJ80 on record, smashing the 135,000 mark. Time will tell. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. So what do you guys think about this ultra low mileage 1997 FZJ80 Land Cruiser? We'd love to hear your feedback on pricing and condition in the comments. Also, we're a new channel, and if you like the video, also make sure to like and subscribe. This goes a long way to inspire the creation of future content. Thanks again for watching. See you for more vintage four-wheel drives.